Okay, so it's Sunday, so happy Sunday. Welcome to a quick video on building your Appery project with xCode. This, of course, means you're trying to create a build for the iTunes Apple Store for Apple products. Android, totally separate, and recommend actually using the Appery builder to do that. This method does, however, have several advantages, and we'll get into those during the video here. So quick high-level overview of the video today. We'll do a little bit about us. So I've been told I need to develop a brand identity. So we'll do a little bit of that for a couple seconds as long as you can put up with it. We'll do an overview and an agenda, and then we'll get to next steps and how you might ask questions. So with that, next slide. So my name's Bruce Stewart. I run a little software development company called the Software Studio. This is me. I don't like people that put pictures up from several years ago, so this is actually a picture from yesterday. I like to hike. My wife and I like to hike. I live in the Phoenix, Arizona area currently. I'm a Chicago native originally and have always loved the desert. I've lived in Seattle for a long time, up until just recently. And so real quick, a little bit about me. I actually went to school to be a CPA. I had a technology minor at the time. I found out actually that I hated accounting and got out of that reasonably quickly. I have some deep experience though in business, so I have a business background from working for a Big 8, it was Big 8 at the time, now Big 4 public accounting company called KPMG at the time. So I've managed IT departments with 80 plus employees. I've developed high-end business solutions for large companies. We'll get into a couple of those in a second. Enterprise architecture, again, one of my favorite topics. I've been a program manager. Don't like that very much, but I've been that. And I've experience with larger companies like Birdseye Foods, Russell Investments. I've worked for Boeing in Seattle. I've also worked for T-Mobile in Seattle very recently, and another company in the Seattle area called TrueBlue. Some of my favorite companies, TrueBlue, Russell Investments, and Boeing. Good places to work. So anyway, my true love is actually doing solution design and coding. I have a reasonably good knack for it. We do business applications, and geocoding is one of my favorite new areas of expertise. You can check me out. One of my more professional pictures in my background, you can find me there. So with that, we'll move on real quickly, and we'll get to the meat of the presentation. We'll go over preparing your build for export out of your Appery project. We'll do the Appery export and xCode import. We'll do some debugging of the application using Winier and the xCode simulator. That's really good stuff and very helpful for you. We'll tell you how to grab screenshots for the store for when you actually distribute your product. That's very helpful instead of grabbing it from your phone. And then we'll talk about doing archive and submit. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you can leverage the xCode beta process to get the build on your phone. So with that, let's get over to our first topic, which is preparing your build for export from Appery. So we're currently working on a project for a company called PeopleReady. We've turned it into a little bit of a larger product. We're going to take this product and we're going to offer it for sale. It's onboarding. So here on my Windows desktop, we're going to open up the product and prepare it for export, only because I prefer my Windows platform. You could, of course, do this on your Mac device. Okay, so real quick, in order to get your build ready, decide on whether you're going to be debugging or releasing an application as part of your build. So for today, we're going to take our current release build of this product and we're going to put it back in debug mode. So to do that, we're going to change our build number. I like numeric build numbers. I have a lot of software that runs around the build numbers. So anyway, create your build numbers, click release on or off, whether you're going to do that, and also be sure to enable or disable auto update. On the general tab, of course, make sure you've got whether you're going to be using Winier debugging or not. And for this example, we'll turn it on, and then there's our URL. So with that, we'll move over to our Mac device. So a little quick editorial on Mac devices. I currently haven't invested and don't want to spend $1,000+ on a Mac device. So I rent time on a service called Mac and Cloud. You can use that. Generally, being able to get on it 4 hours a day is plenty. So you don't need the full day and full access plan, although there have been days when I've needed to spend more than 4 hours on, and I've actually upgraded my plan recently. So anyway, there are a number of places that do allow it. Mac and Cloud is my favorite. So all I do for that is I remote desktop to it from my Windows machine. So we'll go out to my Windows device. We'll click on the Mac and Cloud interface and we'll log in over there. Okay, so I'm going to open up on my Mac and Cloud device. Which is my Mac, it can be your Mac, it could be a Mac and Cloud. I'm going to open up a Chrome session. I like Chrome. You can use any debugger, obviously, or any browser. And from here, we're just going to choose Export. Export to xCode project. So we'll let that go. Again, you're doing this on your Mac device. And our zip bundle is completing. At high level, the process is nothing more than export out of Appery and then import into xCode. xCode looks a little daunting at first, but as an Appery developer, you only need to know, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 basic things and how to do them. And then you're pretty much set. You don't need to know all the intricacies of xCode in order to use it as an Appery developer. And you have to know some basics of working your way around on your Mac machine. So real quick, while we're waiting for our build to finish, I typed up a couple of slides. You should know the advantages of going down this road as well as some of the disadvantages of going there, and I'm sure this is not an exhaustive list. Right, so when you use xCode, you can see real errors when you build. So the xCode will give you feedback and you can see what it is. The Appery builder, if it errors out, will not show you what it is. It will tell you there's a build error generally. You get access to all the build settings in one place. We'll go over that. You can actually run your code from xCode on a device. I'm going to say the simulator is a real portrayal of what will happen on the phone. I've found very few exceptions where xCode is actually producing a different result on the phone. You see how it will look on all devices, so you can switch back and forth between iPads, all kinds of different devices and all of the different operating platforms. That'll be very useful when iOS 11 comes out here in a few weeks. You can run most of the plugins and debug them actually, and there are fewer unexpected outcomes, right? You don't get surprised when your device ends up on a phone or when the store reviews your application. They say, hey, it looks like crap on an iPad or something like that. And I've actually had that said to me and was surprised. So that was one of the reasons I decided to, when deploying to the Apple Store, to go down this route. Disadvantages, it's slightly more complex and it does take more time. It's really simple to press the build button in Appery and have it running almost available and then available to upload almost immediately. And there are additional steps to creating a build. You have to decide whether you're in or out. And it is easier to manage the certificates and things like that. xCode does that all for you, and you don't have to actually manually manage your certificates. So back over to our device, aka our Mac and Cloud.